Money isn't everything, but everything takes money. Produced by the School of Self-Development. Introduction. The Great Money Illusion. We live in a world where money whispers, shouts, and sometimes screams. It tells us what we can eat, where we can live, who we can impress, and even how we feel about ourselves. Scroll through social media, and you'll find no shortage of luxury lifestyles, motivational reels about grinding harder, and self-worth being tightly braided with net worth. The message is subtle but constant. If you don't have money, you don't matter. But here's the twist. That same world, for all its glamour and gold, is filled with people who have everything, except peace. They live in mansions and sleep in anxiety. Their closets are full, but their hearts are empty. They have wealth, but they're bankrupt in purpose. Why? Because money isn't everything. And yet, paradoxically, everything takes money. This audiobook is about that very contradiction. It's about navigating the tightrope between two extremes: the reckless pursuit of money as the ultimate goal, and the naive rejection of money as unimportant. It's about learning how to use money as a tool instead of being used by it as a master. It's about the paradox of wealth, understanding that while money can never buy the things that truly matter, those very things often become harder to access without it. Why this message matters right now. Whether you're struggling to pay the bills, climbing the corporate ladder, or already financially successful, you've felt the tension, the pressure to earn more, spend more, and show more. The constant reminder that success, in today's world, is measured by how much you have, not by who you are. But real success, it's measured by peace of mind, by freedom, by purpose. And while money plays a role in all three, it is never the source of any of them. That's the lesson most people learn too late. When the kids are grown, when the marriage is strained, when the health is fading, when the nights are sleepless and the trophies feel meaningless. This audiobook is here to help you learn that lesson now, before it's too late. What you will learn. Across the chapters ahead, you'll discover the difference between being rich in money and being rich in life. Why chasing money can lead to emotional bankruptcy. How everything in life takes money, but not all money is worth the cost. Real-life stories of people who had it all and lost what mattered most. How to develop a new money mindset, one rooted in values, not vanity. Practical tools to create financial stability without sacrificing your soul. This isn't just about philosophy, it's about action. We're going to dive into practical steps you can take to reshape your relationship with money, build a more balanced life, and define success on your own terms. A quick thought experiment. Imagine you're given $10 million today. But here's the catch. You can never speak to your family again. Never hug your kids. Never laugh with your friends. Would you take the deal? Most people say no. And that answer reveals something powerful. Money has limits. Yet most of us live as if it doesn't. We trade time for dollars. We sacrifice health for hustle. We bury our passions beneath the weight of paychecks. We say yes to jobs we hate and no to time with people we love, all in the name of security. So here's the question this audiobook will keep asking you. What's the true cost of your pursuit of money? And is it worth it? This audiobook will speak to you like a friend, sometimes softly, sometimes firmly. It will challenge you, comfort you, and maybe even convict you. But most importantly, it will wake you up. Not to make you hate money, but to help you stop fearing it, worshiping it, or chasing it blindly. Because once you stop chasing money and start mastering it, you free yourself. And in that freedom, you find something more precious than gold: clarity, purpose, peace. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Myth of Fulfillment Through Fortune. From the outside, they looked like they had it all: the designer suits, the luxury homes, the exotic vacations and six-figure cars, social media profiles sparkling with success and champagne. Yet behind the scenes, a very different story unfolded, one of emptiness, confusion, and even depression. They were rich in bank accounts, but poor in spirit. This is the great illusion of modern success, that money equals fulfillment. That if you could just earn more, save more, buy more, or flex more, happiness would walk through the door, sit on your couch, and never leave. But let's expose the truth. Fulfillment is not sold in stores. It doesn't arrive in packages, and it isn't earned with a paycheck. The void that money can't fill. Why do so many financially successful people feel deeply unsatisfied? Because money, while powerful, is a one-dimensional solution. It can solve external problems like rent, food, travel, access, but it can't touch internal voids like identity, purpose, or peace. Ask the millionaire who built a business empire only to lose their family in the process. Ask the celebrity with hundreds of millions who still cries themselves to sleep. Ask the lottery winner who filed for bankruptcy, emotionally and financially, within 5 years of winning. What's missing in these stories isn't money, it's meaning. The trap of conditional happiness. We've been conditioned since childhood to tie happiness to achievement and achievement to money. We say things like, "When I finally make 6 figures, I'll be happy. When I buy that dream home, I'll finally feel proud. When I have enough to retire early, I'll start enjoying life." But each time we hit the milestone, we move the finish line. More money, a bigger house, a nicer car, a better zip code. And here's the truth: you can't win a game with no finish line. The myth is that fulfillment is waiting for you at the next financial level. The reality is that unless you're fulfilled now, you won't be fulfilled then. You'll just be richer and still searching. The happiness plateau. Researchers call it the income happiness plateau. Studies show that happiness rises with income, but only up to a point. Once basic needs are met, usually around $75,000 to $100,000 per year depending on location, the emotional return on additional money begins to drop dramatically. In other words, doubling your income won't double your happiness. It might increase your options, but it won't necessarily increase your peace. Why? Because happiness isn't found in how much you earn. It's found in how aligned your life is with your values, purpose, and passions. A story of 2 men. Let's compare 2 lives. Daniel is a tech entrepreneur who sold his startup for $22 million. He has a beautiful apartment, multiple cars, and a lifestyle most people would envy. But Daniel wakes up with a pit in his stomach. He's alone. His phone never rings with a real friend. He questions if the years of hustle were worth it. Money bought him freedom, but also isolation. Marcus, on the other hand, is a high school teacher. He makes a modest living, drives an older car, and vacations once a year. But Marcus wakes up with a smile. He loves his work. His students respect him. His evenings are filled with laughter, friends, and purpose. He doesn't have millions, but he lives richly. Daniel is wealthy on paper. Marcus is wealthy in life. Which one would you rather be? Chasing paper. Losing purpose. We've all heard the phrase, "get the bag." And yes, money is important. This book is not about demonizing wealth. It's about deconstructing the worship of it. When you chase money at the expense of your purpose, you risk losing everything that makes life worth living. You sacrifice relationships. You ignore your health. You silence your dreams. You become so obsessed with what you're earning that you forget who you're becoming. And what good is money if you lose yourself in the process? The truth they don't teach in school. We're taught how to earn money, how to save it, invest it, and grow it. But we're rarely taught how to relate to it. No one teaches us that money is just a mirror. It reflects the state of your inner world. If you feel empty inside, money will only amplify that emptiness. If you're driven by insecurity, wealth will become a bottomless well. But if you're grounded, grateful, and intentional, money becomes a tool, not a trap. Fulfillment has a different currency. So if money can't buy fulfillment, what can? Here are a few currencies far more powerful than cash. Time, the freedom to live your life on your own terms. Love, relationships that fill your soul, not just your schedule. Purpose, work that aligns with your core values. Peace, a quiet mind and a full heart. Growth, becoming more of who you were meant to be. These aren't sold at stores. They're not earned through promotions. They're cultivated through awareness, intention, and inner work. Reflect and recalibrate. Before we move to the next chapter, take a moment to ask yourself, am I chasing fulfillment or just finances? Have I confused money with meaning? What would make me feel truly rich, even without more income? Your answers to these questions will shape not just your bank account, but your entire life. Let's summarize Chapter 1. Money can solve problems, but it can't fill emotional voids. Chasing money for fulfillment is like drinking salt water for thirst. It makes the problem worse. Real wealth is measured in freedom, purpose, and peace, not possessions. If you're not fulfilled now, you likely won't be fulfilled later, even with more money. Chapter 2. What money can't buy. Money is powerful. No one's denying that. It can put food on the table, a roof over your head, and choices in your hands. But here's where the illusion begins. The moment we believe that because money can buy something, it can buy everything, that's where we go wrong. Because no matter how much wealth you accumulate, there are certain things money will never be able to buy. And unfortunately, these are the things that matter most. 1. Time. You can buy convenience, but you can't buy more time. You can hire a chef, a driver, even a virtual assistant. But you can't buy an extra hour of life. Time is the most non-renewable resource you'll ever have. Steve Jobs, one of the wealthiest men in history, spent his final days reflecting not on his billions, but on the minutes he couldn't buy back. No amount of money could undo his terminal illness or extend his life. 2. Love. You can buy attention. You can rent affection. But love, true, unconditional, soul-deep love, cannot be bought. There are countless celebrities and moguls surrounded by people who smile in their presence, but very few who would stand by them without the fame or fortune. That's the cruel truth. The more money you have, the harder it becomes to trust love. Do they love me, or what I provide? Genuine love is earned through vulnerability, loyalty, connection, not cash. 3. Peace of mind. Money can ease stress, but it can't bring peace. You could be sitting in a multi-million-dollar mansion and still feel anxious, insecure, or broken inside. Peace of mind comes from alignment, from knowing who you are, living with integrity, and being connected to something deeper than dollars. It can't be bought, only cultivated. Ironically, some of the most stressed people in the world are also the richest. Not because money causes stress, but because when peace isn't part of your internal world, no amount of external wealth can create it. 4. Purpose. Your purpose is your reason for waking up. It's the fire in your soul, not the zeros in your bank account. Many people chase money thinking it is their purpose, and for a while, that belief drives them. But once the bank is full and the novelty wears off, they often find themselves asking, "Now what?" Money can fund a purpose, but it can't create one. You have to look within to find it. 5. More life. Let's get real. Money can't buy health in its purest form. Yes, it gives you access to better healthcare, nutrition, and treatments. But it cannot prevent aging. It can't rewind time or undo a life lived out of alignment. Just ask anyone who traded sleep for hustle, who sacrificed their body for the grind, who ignored the warning signs for another deal, another dollar. Many regret that their pursuit of success came at the cost of their health, because in the end, what's the point of being the richest person in the cemetery? 6. Integrity. Money can build an image, but it can't buy character. You can pay for PR, polish your brand, even influence public opinion, but your integrity is earned through your choices when no one's watching. And here's the twist. Money often tests integrity more than poverty does. Will you cut corners for profit? Sell out your values for a deal? Pretend to be someone you're not to maintain an image? The higher you rise, the more tempting it becomes to abandon who you are. That's why inner wealth is so important, because when you're grounded in values, you don't sell your soul for a higher salary. 7. Deep, honest conversations. You can buy an audience, but not authenticity. People with extreme wealth often find themselves surrounded by yes men. It becomes harder to hear the truth, not because the truth changed, but because people are afraid to speak it. Money creates distance. It builds walls. And without careful effort, those walls can block real, honest, soul-refreshing connection. The kinds of conversations that change you, challenge you, and connect you. Those aren't purchased. They're born from trust and emotional equity. 8. Childhood memories and family moments. Think about this. The most precious moments in life often cost nothing, but require presence. The bedtime story, the first steps, the spontaneous laughter in the kitchen, the road trip, the conversation that changed everything. You can't buy those moments back. You either show up for them or miss the opportunity. And no amount of wealth can rewind the tape. People who sacrificed family for fortune often regret not that they worked, but that they worked through the moments that mattered most. Why this matters more than ever. We live in a culture where people flaunt the visible, the car, the house, the income. But what really shapes our lives are the invisible: love, time, purpose, peace. And here's the irony. Many people trade the invisible for the visible. They exchange their mental health for a paycheck, their family time for a title, their authenticity for acceptance, their soul for status. And then, they wonder why life still feels hollow. Realignment over rejection. This doesn't mean money is bad. It's not. Money is neutral, a tool. But the moment you ask it to do what it was never designed to do, to fill the holes in your soul. It will disappoint you every time. So don't reject money. Realign your relationship with it. Use it, but don't need it. Earn it, but don't worship it. Build wealth, but let it serve your values, not replace them. Reflect and reframe. Take a moment to reflect. What are the things in your life that money didn't buy, but you treasure most? Have you ever sacrificed something priceless for something profitable? What are you currently chasing that might cost more than you think? Write down your answers. Sit with them. Let them guide your next season. Let's summarize Chapter 2. Money can buy access, comfort, and convenience, but not love, time, peace, or purpose. The most important parts of life are invisible and invaluable. When you chase wealth without awareness, you risk trading the eternal for the temporary. Real wealth includes things money can't touch. Chapter 3. What money makes easier. Let's clear something up. Just because money can't buy the most important things doesn't mean it isn't important. In fact, dismissing money completely is just as dangerous as worshiping it. Try telling a struggling single mother that money isn't everything when she can't afford groceries. Try convincing someone buried in medical debt that money doesn't matter. It matters. It just doesn't fulfill us the way we're led to believe. What money does do, and does incredibly well, is make life easier. When you understand this, you stop chasing money like it's your savior and start using it like a smart, powerful tool. Money buys options. This is one of the most overlooked benefits of wealth. Choice. When you have money, you're not stuck in survival mode. You're not forced to stay in toxic jobs, toxic environments, or toxic relationships. You can choose to leave, pivot, invest, or rest. You can buy time by outsourcing. You can afford to take calculated risks. It's not about luxury, it's about leverage. Poor choices don't always come from poor judgment. Sometimes they come from a lack of financial flexibility. Money creates stability. One of the greatest stressors in modern life is uncertainty. Will I be able to pay rent? Will I have enough for retirement? What happens if I lose my job or get sick? Money, while not a cure, provides a buffer. Emergency funds, health insurance, savings, investments. All these give you breathing room, and breathing room gives you mental freedom. That's not just theory. It's biology. When you're in financial stress, your brain switches to survival mode. Cortisol rises, decision-making narrows, creativity drops. It's hard to think long-term when you're just trying to get through the week. Money doesn't solve every problem, but it gives you the mental space to solve problems better. Money enables growth. Money can't buy growth, but it can fund it. Think about it. Books cost money. Courses cost money. Starting a business takes capital. Traveling to expand your perspective also costs money. Mentorship, therapy, coaching, all often come with a price tag. When you're not weighed down by financial stress, you can invest in your personal evolution. Money becomes a launch pad for becoming more, not a finish line for doing less. Money gives you a voice. In today's world, money is influence. You can fund causes, build platforms, amplify voices, and create real change. Many of the world's biggest humanitarian efforts, medical breakthroughs, and community transformations began not with inspiration alone, but with funding. Even the simple act of giving, generosity, becomes easier with money. You can't pour from an empty cup. When your needs are met, you can meet the needs of others more freely. Money buys tools, not results. Here's a metaphor. Money is a hammer. With it, you can build a home or destroy one. It depends on the user. Money gives you tools: a laptop to start your business, a therapist to heal your past, a gym membership to regain your health, a plane ticket to reconnect with distant family, a team to support your vision. But tools only work if you use them wisely. Having a hammer doesn't mean you know how to build a house, and having money doesn't mean you know how to build a life. Still, the right tools in the right hands, game-changing. A quick story. 2 entrepreneurs. Jason and Thomas both started their companies at the same time. Jason had access to capital. He hired a team, bought equipment, and enrolled in a business accelerator. Thomas, on the other hand, had to bootstrap. He worked 2 jobs, borrowed from friends, and sacrificed sleep. They both succeeded, eventually. But Jason had fewer obstacles and could focus on strategy. Thomas spent his first year surviving. Neither approach is wrong, but money made Jason's path easier and faster. Thomas had to pay with something else: time and energy. Money doesn't guarantee success, but it sure can speed up the process. The real reason to pursue money. So why should you still want to earn more? Not for status, not to impress, not to hoard, but because money makes life more flexible. Money funds your mission. Money helps you build a future with more choices, more freedom, and more impact. That's a worthy goal, as long as you don't lose yourself along the way. The dangers of ignoring money. We've seen what happens when people chase money too hard, but let's also talk about what happens when people ignore it. Some people swing the other way. They resent wealth. They believe wanting more is greedy. They embrace struggle like it's noble. They glorify poverty while secretly drowning in fear and frustration. That mindset doesn't serve anyone. You can honor your values and still build wealth. You can be spiritual and strategic. You can love people and earn profit. You can be generous without being broke. In fact, the more money you have, the more you can align it with your values. Let's talk reality. Let's be honest, life is expensive. Rent and mortgages, medical bills, groceries, transportation, kids, emergencies. Even joy comes with a price tag: date nights, birthday gifts, family vacations. Pretending that money isn't a factor in how we experience life is unrealistic. You don't need to obsess over it, but you absolutely need to respect it. And when you learn to do that, money becomes a servant, not a master. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what could I do if money wasn't a constant worry? What dreams have I put on hold because I can't afford it? Do I view money as evil, or as a tool I haven't yet learned to use? The answers might surprise you, and they might unlock your next level. Let's summarize Chapter 3. Money isn't everything, but it makes many things easier. It creates stability, choice, and access. Used wisely, money becomes a platform for personal growth and global impact. Ignoring money can be just as dangerous as worshiping it. The goal isn't to reject wealth, it's to master it and use it well. Chapter 4. Everything takes money. Here's the catch. Let's not sugarcoat it. Everything costs money. Living costs money. Dreaming costs money. Even trying to escape the system still costs money. You can't live off-grid without land. You can't raise a family without food, shelter, clothing, and opportunity. and you can't pursue most dreams without at least some capital to get started. But here's the catch. Not everything is worth what it costs. This chapter is about examining the price tags behind the price tags, not just how much something costs in dollars, but how much it costs in time, energy, freedom, relationships, and identity. Because sometimes, the real price of what you're buying is you. The unseen price of ambition. You get offered the job of your dreams. The pay is double. The perks are amazing. The title looks great on LinkedIn, but the commute is 2 hours each way. Your spouse barely sees you anymore. Your stress skyrockets. You miss dinner with your kids. You work weekends. You lie awake wondering if you're still the same person. You didn't just pay in time. You paid in presence, in peace, in parenthood. The question is, was it worth it? The emotional cost of constant hustle. We live in a hustle culture that says, grind now, shine later. But what if the later never comes? What if you grind so hard you forget how to slow down? What if you shine financially, but your mental health is burnt out, your relationships are cracked, and your sense of self is hanging by a thread? People rarely consider that money made under pressure can create a prison. You make more, but you also owe more. Emotionally, energetically, spiritually. We weren't built to hustle endlessly. We were built for rhythm, for cycles of rest, reflection, and recharging. But those don't sell as well as ambition. A quick story: the silent trade. Olivia was a corporate superstar, 6-figure salary, paid vacations, bonuses, a corner office. To outsiders, she was living the dream. But Olivia didn't sleep well. She had chronic migraines. Her marriage was falling apart. She hadn't seen her parents in 6 months. Her kids called the nanny Mommy by accident. She wasn't spending her money. She was spending herself to earn it. Eventually, she asked herself, what am I trading for this paycheck? And that's the question we all need to ask. The loop of earn, spend, repeat. Here's the trap. You earn more, so you spend more, so you need to earn more, and the cycle continues. You move into a nicer home. Buy a more expensive car. Send your kids to private school. Upgrade your wardrobe. Eat out more. Now your cost of living becomes your cost of staying employed. You can't slow down. You've built a lifestyle that demands more and more. You're not working for freedom. You're working for maintenance. You don't own your lifestyle. It owns you. Examining the true cost. Let's take a deeper look at some common goals and their hidden costs. The prestige promotion. Real cost: less time with family, increased stress, stricter schedules. The dream home. Real cost: years of debt, pressure to maintain appearances, loss of flexibility. The luxury car. Real cost: higher insurance, more stress over scratches, monthly payments that limit investment elsewhere. The designer wardrobe. Real cost: spending for status, not satisfaction, dependence on approval. Now, are these things bad? Not at all. But when you don't weigh their full cost, you risk sacrificing more than you realize. The golden cage. Have you ever heard of the golden handcuffs? It's the idea that some jobs or lifestyles are so lucrative, you can't afford to leave, even if they make you miserable. You've got the money, the benefits, the lifestyle, but you feel trapped. That's the golden cage. It looks beautiful from the outside, but inside, you're a prisoner of your own paycheck. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're working a job you hate, just to pay for a life you don't have time to enjoy, you're not free. You're funded, but not fulfilled. The cost of ignorance. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, people who don't pay attention to money at all. They believe that as long as they're happy, money will take care of itself. But that mindset has its own hidden cost: missed opportunities, debt traps, powerless decisions, emotional stress, a lack of options when life throws a curveball. It's not about obsessing over money. It's about being aware of its influence, so you're not blindsided by the price you didn't know you were paying. The middle path, conscious spending. So, what's the alternative? Conscious spending, not just asking, "Can I afford this?" but asking, "What will this cost me, emotionally, spiritually, relationally?" Before the next purchase, promotion, or pivot, ask, "Will this bring me closer to my values or farther? Am I spending money to solve a real problem or to escape one? Is this aligned with who I want to be 5 years from now?" When you do that, money stops being a trap and starts becoming a tool. Know the cost, then decide. Everything takes money. That's the reality. But not everything is worth the cost. Don't trade your soul for a salary. Don't trade your peace for prestige. Don't trade your presence for possessions. The goal isn't to avoid money. It's to know what you're really paying for before you swipe the card, sign the contract, or say yes to the next shiny thing. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what deals am I making with my time, energy, and identity for the sake of income? Have I ever bought something that cost more emotionally than financially? What areas of my life feel expensive, not in dollars, but in peace? Your answers may reveal trades you didn't even know you were making. Let's summarize Chapter 4. Everything in life requires money, but the real cost is often hidden. We trade more than money. We trade time, identity, energy, relationships. Lifestyle inflation creates a loop of dependency. Golden cages look nice, but they trap your freedom. Freedom comes from conscious choices, not unconscious spending. Chapter 5. The True Currency of Life. If I offered you $1 million in exchange for the next 10 years of your life, would you take the deal? What if I offered you $10 million, but you'd never see your loved ones again? What if I gave you everything you've ever dreamed of, but you'd die tomorrow? Suddenly, the equation changes, because deep down, we know the truth. Time is the most valuable currency we'll ever possess. More than money, more than fame, more than influence. Why? Because money lost can be re-earned, but time spent is gone forever. The Great Illusion. We live like we have time to waste. We scroll, we delay, we wait for the right moment. We say, later, like it's guaranteed. But here's the thing. Time is the one thing you'll run out of, whether you spend it wisely or not. Every day you make trades, not just with money, but with minutes. You're either investing your time or spending it recklessly. And unlike your bank account, there's no overdraft protection. Once time is gone, it's gone. Money can multiply, time cannot. $1 invested today can become 5 tomorrow, but an hour wasted today is just gone. You can't compound time. You can't save it for later. All you can do is use it well or lose it forever. That's why time management is life management. It's not just about being efficient. It's about being intentional, about spending your most precious resource on what truly matters. Because you're not just killing time. You're killing your life in slow motion. A story that hits hard. A man once said, "I'm working so hard so I can retire at 65 and finally enjoy life." But at 64, he had a heart attack. Never got to take that trip. Never got to see the world. Never got to spend time with the grandkids. He traded the best years of his life for a dream he never lived. This isn't just a story. It's a warning. The question isn't if your time will run out. It's when. What are you really working for? We say we work for money, but peel back the layers, and what we really want is what money provides: freedom, security, peace, adventure, comfort, experiences. Ironically, we sacrifice all of those in the pursuit of money. We work long hours so we can afford a vacation, but we're too exhausted to enjoy it. We buy expensive homes, but spend more time at the office than in the living room. We get promoted for our dedication, but miss our kids' soccer games and anniversary dinners. In the race to get more, we often lose what we already have. The wealthiest people are time-rich. True wealth isn't about how much money you have. It's about how much of your time is yours. Can you spend your day how you choose? Can you take a walk at noon? Read to your child at bedtime? Create, explore, rest, play. That's real freedom. That's real wealth. Ask any wealthy person who's made it. They're not chasing more money. They're buying back their time. Time versus money. Which do you serve? People often say, time is money. But that's wrong. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. Here's a better way to think about it. Money is a tool. Time is your life. Use the tool to serve the life, not the other way around. If you constantly say, "I don't have time," what you really mean is, "I'm spending my time on something else." You're not broke in hours. You're broke in priorities. How to use money to protect time. Now here's where money becomes powerful, when it protects your time. Pay for services that free up your schedule. Outsource tasks that drain your energy. Invest in tools that simplify your workflow. Save aggressively, so you're not chained to your paycheck forever. Money used to buy back time is the best investment you can make. Just don't fall into the trap of using your time to chase more money, only to lose time all over again. Opportunities disguised as time. We often wait for the right opportunity, but most opportunities don't knock, they whisper. And if your life is too full, too fast, too distracted, you won't hear them. Slowing down gives space for the important to surface. It gives you the margin to notice, explore, and pursue the things that truly matter. Time isn't just where life happens. It's where magic happens. Reflect and reframe. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, where is my time really going? Am I rich in money but poor in moments? What would my ideal day look like if money weren't a factor? What can I do today to get closer to that reality? The answers don't require a lottery win, just a shift in values. Let's summarize Chapter 5. Time is the most valuable currency. Once spent, it's gone forever. Money can be earned, saved, and multiplied. Time cannot. True wealth is measured in freedom of time, not just financial freedom. We often trade time for money, but the reverse using money to buy time, is far more powerful. Your calendar reveals your true priorities, more than your bank account does. Chapter 6. Rich in values, not just value. What if the richest person in the room isn't the one with the biggest bank account, but the one who never has to compromise who they are? Let that sink in. We live in a society obsessed with value. What you're worth, what you charge, what you own, how you measure up. Everything is transactional. Time for money, effort for income, reputation for results. But there's a deeper form of wealth, one that doesn't show up on tax returns or Forbes lists. Being rich in values. That's the kind of wealth no recession can take, no thief can steal, and no dollar amount can replace. What are values, really? Values are the core beliefs that guide your decisions, shape your behavior, and define your identity. They're not slogans or mission statements. They're the invisible compass behind every yes, no, and not anymore in your life. When you know your values and actually live by them, you gain something more powerful than financial capital: moral clarity, personal power, and peace of mind. When value conflicts with values. Let's talk about a common trap: choosing opportunities that increase your financial value while violating your personal values. Taking a job that pays well, but feels morally wrong. Promoting something you don't believe in because it's profitable. Staying silent when you should speak up, to protect your brand. Surrounding yourself with people who drain you just to keep your image. On paper, these moves make sense. They boost income, visibility, maybe even influence. But what they often cost is authenticity. And once you trade your values for value, you begin to lose your sense of self. Slowly, subtly, until one day you're rich and you don't recognize the person staring back at you in the mirror. A story of silent regret. Anthony was a high-powered attorney, brilliant, charismatic, a rising star. He made partner at 38, drove a Tesla, lived in a penthouse, and dined with influencers and politicians. But at night, he couldn't sleep. His firm defended companies he didn't believe in. He silenced his ethics to keep clients. He told himself it was temporary, a means to an end. But years passed, and so did his joy. His salary grew, but so did his silence, his shame, and his sadness. He had gained value and lost his values. What it means to be values rich. Being rich in values means you say no to what isn't aligned, even if it pays well. Prioritize truth over popularity. Choose integrity over instant gratification. Put purpose before prestige. Know that who you become matters more than what you accumulate. This doesn't mean living in poverty. It means you don't sacrifice your soul for profit. It means your money reflects your mission, not the other way around. Values as your financial filter. Want a practical way to check your alignment? Use your values as a financial filter. Before you accept a job offer, make an investment. Launch a business. Partner with someone. Buy that expensive item. Ask, does this support my values? Will I be proud of this choice 5 years from now? Is this aligned with the life I'm trying to build? If the answer is no, walk away, even if it costs you in the short term. Because long term, nothing is more expensive than regret. Clarifying your core values. Not sure what your values are? Here's a simple exercise. Write down the 5 people you admire most. For each person, list the qualities you respect in them. Circle the qualities that show up more than once. These are likely your core values. Now ask yourself, am I living by those values or just admiring them from a distance? If your daily decisions don't reflect your deepest beliefs, you'll feel the disconnection, no matter how much money you make. A quiet kind of wealth. You won't see honesty on a resume. You won't find loyalty on a receipt. You won't get a tax break for integrity. But these are the things that build trust, legacy, fulfillment, and peace. The kind of wealth that whispers, you did the right thing, when no one's watching. And sometimes, that's more valuable than any paycheck you'll ever cash. Values create stability. When life shakes, life will test you. There will be moments when you're tempted to cut corners, to sell out, to take shortcuts. When that storm comes, your values are your anchor. Money might give you a cushion, but values give you character. And character is what lasts. When you live with integrity, you don't just sleep better. You live better. You attract the right people. You make cleaner decisions. You walk with more confidence. Why? Because you're not faking anything. You're not performing. You're just aligned. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what values matter most to me, and am I living by them? Where have I compromised my beliefs for financial gain? What's a small shift I can make this week to live more authentically? Money can come and go, but values, they build legacy. Let's summarize Chapter 6. True wealth isn't just financial, it's values-based. Living out of alignment with your values may create income, but it drains your soul. Your values should guide your money, not be sacrificed for it. When your values rich, you make decisions that honor your highest self, not just your bottom line. Chapter 7. The financially broke but spiritually wealthy. We've been taught to measure success by numbers, net worth, income, followers, square footage, digits in the bank. But sometimes, the most successful people, the richest in spirit, are the ones with the fewest material possessions. They aren't wealthy in cash, but they're wealthy in contentment, peace, purpose, and connection. This chapter explores the lives of those who have little money, yet live with more fulfillment than millionaires. The monk with nothing and everything. Let's start in a monastery. Here's a man who owns almost nothing. No car, no phone, no credit card. His days are filled with prayer, meditation, service, and silence. His meals are simple. His clothes are plain. And yet, speak to him for just 5 minutes and you'll feel it. A calm, joyful presence that radiates peace. He has no financial portfolio, but he's not worried about tomorrow. He's not anxious about bills or obsessed with image. He's fully present, grateful for breath, rooted in values, overflowing with purpose. He may be financially broke, but he's spiritually wealthy beyond words. The artist who chose passion over paychecks. Maria was a talented painter who turned down a 6-figure advertising job to pursue her passion for abstract art. She lived in a modest studio apartment, sold her work at local fairs, and often had to stretch meals to make ends meet. But she woke up every day excited. She created from the heart. Her life was simple, but authentic. She found deep joy in color, expression, and the process of making something beautiful from nothing. People said, she could have been rich, but in her heart, she already was. The teacher who gave without limits. Mr. Lewis was a high school history teacher in a low-income district. He drove the same old truck for 15 years. He never made more than $50,000 a year. But ask any student and they'll tell you, he changed lives. He showed up early, stayed late, bought kids lunch out of his own pocket, gave out books, encouraged dreams, attended graduation parties even after retirement. When he passed away, the church was full, not of investors or executives, but of students who had grown into leaders, doctors, and change-makers, all because of him. He didn't have millions, but he left behind something money could never buy: legacy. What they all have in common. What do the monk, the artist, and the teacher share? Clarity. They knew what mattered to them and structured life around it. Peace. They weren't chasing more. They were enjoying enough. Service. They gave more than they took. They impacted lives, not just their own. Alignment. Their actions matched their values. No masks, no pretending. None of them lived to impress. They lived to express something deeper: love, truth, art, purpose. And that made them wealthier than many with seven-figure bank accounts. The power of inner wealth. Here's the truth: you can be financially poor, but spiritually overflowing. Because true wealth isn't about what you possess. It's about what possesses you. Are you filled with gratitude, with joy, with curiosity, compassion, creativity? That's wealth, and you don't need a cent to cultivate it. Inner wealth is accessible to all, but few pursue it because it doesn't look flashy on Instagram. When simplicity becomes strength. Simplicity isn't lack, it's focus. When your life isn't cluttered by material excess, you begin to see more clearly. What brings real joy? Who truly matters? Where your soul feels most alive. There's a kind of magic that comes from not being tied to stuff. You become nimble, grateful, free. Minimalism isn't about having less. It's about being more present, more aligned, more at peace. What the world gets wrong. Society often sees financially poor people as failures, but we've met janitors who radiate wisdom, baristas who uplift hundreds daily, single parents who give love so powerful. Their kids grow up unshakable. They may not be winning awards or earning six figures, but they're shaping the world in quieter, deeper ways. That's success, just not the kind with a trophy. Your road to spiritual wealth. So how do you become rich in spirit, no matter your finances? Gratitude. Start each day naming 3 things you're thankful for. Presence. Slow down. Breathe. Notice. Connection. Spend real time with people. No screens, just heart. Purpose. Do at least one thing each day that makes you feel alive. Generosity. Give your time, your smile, your encouragement. These aren't luxuries. They're choices. And they pay dividends no bank could ever match. Reflect and reframe. Take a moment and ask, what would my life look like if I stopped chasing more and started living from enough? Who do I admire that lives with little but gives a lot? How can I increase my spiritual wealth today? Remember, you don't have to be rich to be a blessing. Let's summarize Chapter 7. Some of the richest people spiritually have the fewest possessions. Legacy, love, purpose, and alignment create lasting wealth. Simplicity isn't poverty, it's clarity and freedom. True success is living a life that's full of meaning, not just money. Chapter 8. The spiritually broke but financially rich. Imagine this. You've made it. You have the dream home, the car with the custom stitching, the elite credit cards that open any door. You're invited to exclusive events. Your name carries weight. But late at night, when the applause fades and the inbox is quiet, you feel empty. Not because you're ungrateful, but because everything you've gained came at a price you didn't realize you were paying until now. Welcome to the life of those who are financially wealthy, but spiritually bankrupt. The trophy that cost too much. Ethan was a household name in the business world. He built his tech empire from a basement to $1 billion valuation. His name graced magazines. His TED Talk had 10 million views. But he was on his third divorce. His kids barely spoke to him. He couldn't remember the last time he laughed. Not for a camera, but from his gut. He drank more than he admitted, slept less than he needed. He had everything, except peace. His fortune funded the world, but inside, he was broke. The quiet despair of the successful. This chapter isn't about shaming the rich. It's about showing what happens when money becomes the mission instead of the tool. When your identity is built on your income, when your sense of self is tied to your success, when your relationships revolve around what you can offer, you become a shell of a person, decorated, praised, envied, and deeply alone. The mask of success. Here's the irony. The more successful you appear, the harder it becomes to admit when you're suffering. Because the world doesn't expect billionaires to be depressed. The world doesn't ask how the CEO is really doing. You're supposed to be living the dream, so you pretend you are. You show up polished, confident, on brand. But inside, you're tired, hollow, maybe even hopeless. Because when your worth is external, your soul is at risk. The cycle of never enough. The wealthy but empty often live in a loop. Achieve something incredible. Feel nothing inside. Assume the answer is more. Repeat. It's the endless hunger of success addiction. You hit the milestone, but the fulfillment is fleeting. So you raise the bar again and again and again. Until eventually you wonder, is there a finish line? Or am I running in circles? The loneliness of the top. Money can buy admiration, but not authentic connection. Wealth creates walls. You wonder if people like you or what you represent. You second-guess friendships. You feel the weight of expectations. You lose the ability to be fully you, because being you doesn't seem safe anymore. Many financially rich people are surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. It's not because they lack community. It's because they lack truth within that community. The burnout behind the brand. Success demands energy, but when that energy isn't replenished by meaning, you burn out. You wake up exhausted, even after a vacation. You crush goals and feel numb when you achieve them. You earn more, but can't remember the last time you felt alive. This isn't laziness. This is the cost of misalignment. You were meant to build something meaningful, but you've been building a brand, not a life. A wake-up call. Worth millions. Vanessa was a luxury fashion mogul. 5 stores across the world. Millions in the bank, thousands of customers. Then one morning, she collapsed in her office, diagnosed with extreme adrenal fatigue and anxiety. Her doctor said, "If you keep living this way, your body will give out, permanently." That was her turning point. She took a sabbatical, sold 2 stores, moved closer to family, started painting again. She made less, but felt more. Vanessa realized something most never do. You can always rebuild your business, but you can't rebuild your soul. When success becomes suffering. If you're successful on the outside but empty on the inside, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been trained to chase the wrong thing. Society taught you that value equals validation, that if people admire your wealth, your titles, your resume, then you must be doing life right. But admiration doesn't equal fulfillment, and applause doesn't equal peace. You don't need more money. You need more meaning. The redefinition of rich. So, what's the alternative? It's not about rejecting wealth. It's about redefining it. A rich life is one where you laugh often, where your relationships are real, where you're aligned with your purpose, where your work energizes you, where you rest without guilt, where you're proud of who you are, not just what you earn. That's wealth. That's freedom. That's what money should serve, not replace. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what have I gained financially that I've lost emotionally? What part of my identity is tied to how much I earn? Who would I be if the money disappeared? And would I like that person? The answers to these questions could be your turning point. Let's summarize Chapter 8. Many financially rich people are emotionally or spiritually broke. When money becomes the mission, fulfillment often disappears. Success built without meaning leads to burnout and loneliness. Authenticity, alignment, and purpose matter more than wealth alone. Redefining success is the first step to becoming truly rich. Chapter 9. How to balance the scales. We've seen both sides now. On one side, people with no money but deep spiritual wealth. Peace, joy, clarity. On the other, people with riches but no rest. Stress, emptiness, confusion. So the natural question becomes, can you have both? Can you build financial wealth without losing yourself? Can you be successful in the world and still be fulfilled in your soul? The answer is yes, but only if you learn how to balance the scales. This chapter is about walking the middle path, pursuing prosperity without being possessed by it. The balanced life is built, not found. Balance isn't something you discover one day and keep forever. It's something you build intentionally and maintain daily. Just like physical fitness, balance in your relationship with money takes awareness, discipline, values, boundaries. You can't accidentally live a balanced life, especially not in a world that rewards extremes. If you don't choose your values, the culture will choose them for you. Money as a servant, not a master. Here's the key distinction. Money is a wonderful servant and a terrible master. When money is your servant, you use it to express your values. You invest in your health, growth, and peace. You give generously. You sleep at night with a clear conscience. When money is your master, you sacrifice relationships for revenue. You say yes to things you hate for income you don't need. You make decisions based on fear, not purpose. You never feel like you've arrived. So ask yourself, who's serving who in your current relationship with money? The money with meaning mindset. To balance the scales, adopt a money with meaning mindset. This means using money intentionally, not emotionally. Every dollar becomes a vote for your values. Here's how that looks in practice. Spending money to buy time, not just stuff. Investing in experiences over excess. Earning through work that's aligned with your purpose. Saving with peace, not paranoia. Giving with joy, not obligation. A quick framework. The 4 money pillars. Think of your financial life as a table with 4 legs. Earn. Make money doing what matters. Save. Keep money with awareness and intention. Grow. Multiply money with wisdom and patience. Give. Release money to create joy, impact, and alignment. When one leg is missing or oversized, the table wobbles. But when they're all balanced, you create stability. That's the goal. Not maximum wealth, but maximum alignment. Don't confuse productivity with purpose. Many people pursue money through non-stop hustle because they confuse being busy with being valuable. They work longer hours, take on more projects, chase the next race. But they never ask the deeper question, why am I doing all this? If your only reason for working is to earn more, you've already lost the plot. The goal isn't to work until you die rich. The goal is to live fully while building wealth intentionally. Set financial boundaries. Balance requires boundaries. Not just how much you spend, but how much of yourself you're willing to spend. Here are some healthy financial boundaries. A maximum number of work hours per week. A do not disturb time each night to protect rest. A budget for generosity, so giving is joyful, not draining. A list of things you won't trade for money, like weekends with family, your integrity, or your peace of mind. Boundaries protect the things money can't buy. Slow growth is real growth. In a world that glorifies speed, remember this. Fast money often comes with fast regrets. Sustainable wealth is built slowly, with consistency and intention. Rushing leads to burnout. Slowing down creates clarity. Don't envy people who seem to be making it faster. You don't know what they're sacrificing. Focus on growing roots, not just branches. Define enough for yourself. Balance begins when you define your enough. What income is truly enough for your needs, goals, and lifestyle? What standard of living reflects your values, not your ego? When you don't define enough, you're always chasing more. But when you define it, you gain freedom. Freedom to say no. Freedom to rest. Freedom to live. The richest people are the ones who've stopped chasing endlessly because they already know when to stop. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, am I building wealth with wisdom or chasing it with anxiety? Is my income aligned with my identity? What boundaries do I need to protect my peace and purpose? Have I defined what enough looks like for me? Let your answers guide you. Let your values ground you. Let's summarize Chapter 9. Balance doesn't happen by accident. It's built through conscious choices. Money must be your servant, not your master. A money with meaning mindset helps align your finances with your soul. Boundaries protect the parts of your life that money can't buy. Defining enough is the secret to escaping endless hustle. Chapter 10. Lessons from the middle class and the struggling. We've talked about the spiritually rich, the financially rich, and the tension between money and meaning. But there's another group often overlooked in conversations about wealth: the everyday people. The single parents juggling 2 jobs, the working-class families living paycheck to paycheck, the middle-class earners trying to stay afloat in an economy that rewards the top and forgets the rest. They may not live in luxury, But many of them live with something far more powerful: resilience, gratitude, grit, and joy. This chapter is about them, and the lessons they can teach all of us, no matter how many zeros are on the paycheck. The myth of barely getting by. We tend to define struggle by how much money someone lacks, but real struggle isn't just about income. It's about outlook. Yes, financial stress is real, but so is the strength of those who don't let struggle define them. Meet Angela, a mother of 3 who earns just enough to keep food on the table. She works long hours, budgets every dollar, and still finds time to read bedtime stories, pack school lunches, and teach her children gratitude every day. To an outsider, she's barely making it. But look closer, and you'll see. She's wealthy in patience, wisdom, and devotion. The working class blueprint for life. Working class families often live on the tightest margins, and yet they're experts at what the wealthy often overlook: stretching resources, appreciating the small things, focusing on needs over wants, finding joy in the ordinary, giving even when it hurts. They've learned to survive in a world designed to keep them behind, and many of them have done more than survive. They've raised incredible children, built beautiful relationships, served their communities with quiet strength. This isn't just survival, it's sacred resilience. A lesson from the grocery store. Carlos, a delivery driver, once found a crumpled $5 bill in his glove box. He could have bought himself a quick lunch. Instead, he bought 2 loaves of bread and gave one to the elderly woman on his route who struggled to afford groceries. Why? Because he remembered what it felt like to go without. He didn't need millions to be generous. He needed compassion, and compassion is currency that never runs out. Middle-class mindset, stability over status. Middle-class households often strive not for excess, but for security. A modest home in a safe neighborhood. College savings for the kids. Reliable transportation. A week off in the summer. Peace at the dinner table. Not flashy, not Instagram-worthy, but deeply meaningful. In fact, many middle-class families live more balanced, grounded, and peaceful lives than those chasing elite lifestyles. They don't need to prove anything. They just want to live well. That's wealth, too. The superpower of gratitude. The greatest weapon against poverty isn't income, it's gratitude. Gratitude transforms scarcity into sufficiency. It doesn't change how much you have. It changes how you see it. Families who give thanks for a home-cooked meal, a working heater in winter, a clean pair of clothes, a friend who listens, a child's laughter. These are the families that radiate richness, even when their wallets are thin, because they've discovered that joy isn't in possessions, it's in presence. Spiritual wealth in financial tightness. It's not just about attitude, it's about perspective. Those who struggle financially often develop a deep spiritual core, faith in something greater, a belief that tomorrow can be better, a work ethic rooted in legacy, not luxury, a humility that keeps their feet on the ground and their hearts open. They know that love carries more weight than luxury. They've learned that being rich in faith, family, and fortitude matters more than material trophies. When struggle builds strength. Here's the secret. Struggle doesn't just test character, it builds it. Many people who rise from poverty become incredible leaders, entrepreneurs, healers, and mentors. Why? Because they remember. They remember hunger. They remember the cold nights and the missed payments. They remember the sacrifice it took to get one step forward, and that memory gives them a kind of empathy and fire the wealthy often lack. But let's be clear, poverty is not noble. This isn't about glorifying poverty. There's nothing romantic about not being able to afford medicine, rent, or education. But we can honor the truth that struggling financially doesn't make you less wise, less worthy, or less wealthy in spirit. Some of the greatest treasures come wrapped in hardship, and those who learn to shine through the dark often become the brightest lights. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, have I underestimated the strength of those with less money than me? Do I define success by lifestyle or by love, peace, and purpose? What lessons can I learn from those who live richly on modest means? Let their stories shape your soul. Let their grit inspire your grace. Let's summarize Chapter 10. Middle-class and struggling families hold deep wisdom, resilience, and gratitude. Financial struggle doesn't mean spiritual lack. In many cases, it creates strength. Gratitude turns simple moments into sacred ones. Poverty is hard, but it doesn't erase a person's value or potential. Chapter 11. Raising children with the right wealth mindset. Children don't inherit just our DNA. They inherit our beliefs. They watch how we spend, how we save, how we stress, how we give. And over time, those silent observations form loud beliefs. So if you want to raise children who are smart with money and wise about life, you can't just teach them about dollars. You have to teach them about value, what truly matters. Because while money is a tool they'll need, character is the foundation they'll build everything on. Children learn money behavior before they learn math. Long before kids understand interest rates or credit scores, they understand patterns. They notice when parents argue over money. Joy disappears after a purchase. Money is hoarded or wasted. Generosity is encouraged or withheld. Financial decisions are made in fear or in wisdom. These early observations create subconscious rules like, money is always a problem. Spending makes people happy. Only rich people get to relax. Having more means being more. And those rules become lifelong beliefs unless we break the cycle. Model money wisdom in the home. Want to raise financially healthy, spiritually grounded kids? Start at home. Let them see you talk openly about money without shame or secrecy. You choose peace over pressure. You save with purpose, not fear. You say no to excess to say yes to what matters. You give, even when it costs. Kids don't need you to be rich. They need you to be real. When they see that money is a servant, not a master, they'll grow up free, not fearful. Teach the difference between price and value. From an early age, teach children that price is what something costs. Value is what something means. For example, a $300 toy might bring one day of excitement. A $30 trip to the park might create a memory for life. Ask them, was that worth it? Did it make you happy, or just excited for a moment? How long will this matter? These questions help build discernment, one of the most powerful money skills they'll ever develop. Allowance isn't just income, it's a life lesson. If you give your child an allowance, use it as a teaching tool. Encourage saving, giving, and spending in balance. Let them make small mistakes now to avoid big mistakes later. Talk about goals, not just toys. Better yet, Let them earn it through responsibility and service. They'll learn that money is tied to value, not entitlement. And if they give part of it away, celebrate that. Because a generous child becomes a generous adult, and generosity is the hallmark of true wealth. Teach them that enough is enough. We live in a consumer culture that tells kids they need more to be more, but we can teach them. That contentment is powerful. That joy isn't found in the next purchase. That simple pleasures often last longer than expensive ones. When kids learn that they are already enough, they stop trying to prove it with what they wear, own, or buy. That's not just financial wisdom. That's soul protection. Include money and life conversations. Make money a natural part of family dialogue. Here's how we're saving for our next trip. We're choosing not to buy that so we can give more this month. We're investing because we want freedom later. No lectures, just conversations. Make money human, not heavy. When kids grow up talking about money like any other topic, they approach it with confidence and calm, not confusion and fear. Correcting inherited scarcity. If you were raised in a home where money was always tight and stress was always high, you may carry those fears into parenting. Be mindful not to project scarcity onto your children. Instead, help them see money as something to respect, not fear. A tool to use, not a source of shame. A means, not an identity. You break generational poverty not just by earning more, but by believing differently. Help them connect money to meaning. Ask them, what cause would you donate to if you had $100? If you had a business, what would it help people do? What makes someone truly successful? Help them link money with impact and service, not just success and status. Because when children see that money can change lives, not just lifestyles, they become stewards, not just consumers. Reflect and reframe. Whether you have children of your own, teach kids, or influence young people, ask yourself, what beliefs about money am I passing on, intentionally or not? Am I raising children to chase wealth or to build it with wisdom? How can I model a life where money is respected but never worshipped? Children remember how we made them feel and how we made money feel. Let them grow up feeling free, not fearful, capable, not confused, grateful, not greedy. Let's summarize Chapter 11. Children absorb money beliefs long before they understand money itself. Parents and mentors can model peace, generosity, and purpose through everyday financial choices. Teach kids to value discernment over dollars and meaning over materialism. A child grounded in values and equipped with wisdom becomes a financially free adult. Chapter 12. Faith, Fulfillment, and Finance. Some people talk about money like it's sacred. Others treat it like it's sinful. But the truth, money is spiritual, not because of what it is, but because of what it does to us. It reveals, it magnifies, it tests, and it teaches. In every major spiritual and philosophical tradition, money is addressed, not as a goal, but as a mirror, a magnifier of the heart, a tool that can either lift you or lead you astray. This chapter is about exploring the deeper meaning of money and how faith, fulfillment, and finances are more connected than most people realize. What the ancients knew. From the Bible to Buddhism, from Stoic philosophers to Sufi mystics, one truth echoes. It is not money that is evil. It is the love of money that corrupts. The Bible warns, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy 6:10. Buddha taught that attachment leads to suffering, and money is one of the strongest attachments of all. Marcus Aurelius said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The Prophet Muhammad said, "Riches are not from an abundance of worldly goods, but from a contented mind." Money, in all these teachings, is neutral. It's the relationship you have with it that makes it either holy or harmful. Faith anchors your financial journey. When you live with faith, whether it's in God, the universe, or simply something greater than yourself, your financial decisions take on new meaning. You're not just chasing profit. You're building something eternal: integrity, legacy, service, purpose. You stop asking, "How much can I make?" and start asking, "What impact can I create?" That shift changes everything. When finances fuel fulfillment. Fulfillment isn't found in accumulating money. It's found in aligning money with mission. Faith reminds us that we are not what we earn. Our value is not our valuation. Our worth is not tied to our wealth. So we stop proving, and we start living. Money becomes not the measure of success, but the resource to express what we believe. It fuels generosity, supports justice, strengthens families, builds bridges. When money flows through a faithful heart, it becomes sacred. The spiritual weight of wealth. Let's not romanticize poverty, but let's also not underestimate the burden of wealth. The more money you have, the more decisions you face. The more people look to you, the more temptation to drift from your values. That's why faith is crucial. It keeps you anchored. When you're guided by principles bigger than your paycheck, you're less likely to sell out, burn out, or give up your soul for a sale. Tithing, giving, and sacred circulation. In nearly every faith, giving is core to financial health. Christians tithe, giving 10% as an act of worship. Muslims give zakat, a sacred obligation to support the poor. Jews practice tzedakah, righteous giving as justice. Hindus and Buddhists teach dana, selfless giving without attachment. Why? Because giving reminds us we don't own anything. We're stewards. Money flows. Life flows. When we give, we tap into abundance. We loosen the grip of greed and open ourselves to grace. When you let go, you get more. This isn't just spiritual, it's practical. When you give generously, trust in provision, stay aligned with values. You often receive more, not just in dollars, but in joy, opportunity, peace, and connection. Because when you stop clenching, you start receiving. Prosperity is a byproduct of alignment. Some people believe that spirituality and money can't mix, that if you're faithful, you must be poor. But that's a lie. Prosperity is not the enemy of the spiritual life. It's the byproduct of a life lived in alignment. When you serve, solve problems, create value, and stay true. There is nothing noble about lack, and nothing evil about wealth. What matters is who you are in the process. Fulfillment is the true goal. In spiritual terms, fulfillment means peace with where you are, purpose in what you do, presence in each moment. That's the wealth your soul seeks. That's what no recession can take, and no raise can add. When your life is filled with faith and fueled by service, money becomes light, not a burden. And your path becomes clear, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what do I truly believe about money and spirituality? Have I ever felt guilt around wealth or shame around struggle? How can I use money in ways that align with my faith and values? Let your answers be your compass. Let's summarize Chapter 12. Money is spiritual, not inherently good or bad, but powerful. Faith provides the anchor to use wealth wisely and live with purpose. Ancient teachings align. It's not money that's dangerous, it's attachment. Giving is sacred and opens the door to abundance. Fulfillment is found when money serves mission, not ego. Chapter 13. How to build a wealthy life. Beyond the bank. Ask most people what they'd do if money were no object, and you'll hear things like, I'd travel more. I'd spend more time with my family. I'd write that book, start that business, take care of my health. I'd finally breathe. Which tells us something powerful. Most people don't want money itself. They want the life they believe that money will give them. But here's the twist. You don't need millions to start living richly. In this chapter, we're going to explore how to build a life that feels wealthy, with or without a massive bank balance. Wealth is a feeling, not just a figure. Wealth isn't just a number on a screen. It's a state of being. It's waking up with purpose. It's spending your time on what matters. It's the freedom to say no, and the clarity to say yes. It's quality over quantity, presence over pressure, simplicity over status. If your life is overflowing with joy, connection, and alignment, you're already wealthy, even if your income says otherwise. Designing a rich life. 3 core questions. Before you chase money, ask yourself, what do I want my days to look like? Who do I want to become in the process? What am I willing and not willing to trade to get there? These questions are the foundation of a rich life design. They help you build a life with intention, not just one that looks good online. Build around your time, not just your tasks. Most people design their life around their work. What if you flipped it? Start by protecting your highest value time. Morning routine for clarity. Midday breaks for movement or reflection. Evenings for family, creativity, or peace. Sabbaths, or rest days, for renewal. Block off what matters most, then build your work around that. Why? Because a full schedule isn't the same as a full life. Align your money with what you value. If your spending doesn't reflect your values, your life will feel out of sync. Take inventory. Do your purchases support your health? Do your expenses create memories, or just clutter? Are you investing in your growth, relationships, and rest? You don't have to be rich to spend intentionally. You just have to pay attention. Define your rich life on your terms. Forget what culture says. Forget what Instagram says. What's your personal definition of richness? For some, it's quiet mornings and home-cooked meals. For others, it's a cabin in the woods or a passport full of stamps. Maybe it's working part-time to write a novel, or homeschooling your kids, or serving your community. Your rich life doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to feel like you. Less but better, the power of simplification. Most people don't need more. They need less distraction, less clutter, and more focus. A wealthy life is often a simplified life. Fewer obligations, less noise, clearer intentions, deeper conversations. Minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about eliminating the unnecessary so the essential can thrive. Audit your success script. Many people live out a script they didn't write. Go to college, get a high-paying job, buy a house, work 40+ years, retire, then maybe live. But what if that script doesn't fit you? What if your version of success is working 4 days a week, living modestly, and having time to hike or meditate? Audit the script. If it doesn't serve your soul, rewrite it. Habits that build a rich life. Here are a few practices that have nothing to do with money and everything to do with wealth. Daily gratitude. Write down 3 things you're thankful for. Tech-free time. Disconnect to reconnect. Meaningful conversation. Prioritize depth over small talk. Movement. Walk, stretch, dance. Whatever reconnects you to your body. Creativity. Journal, paint, cook, build. Anything that taps into your spirit. These aren't just habits. They're investments in your emotional and spiritual bank accounts. A real-life story, The Slow Riches. Jennifer left her 6-figure tech job to start a freelance writing career. Her income was cut in half, but her joy doubled. She had time for morning walks, afternoon coffee with friends, evening reading sessions with her kids. She spent less, but she lived more. Jennifer wasn't rich in the traditional sense, but she designed her life to feel full. That's a wealth few ever experience. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what would my ideal day look like if I had no financial pressure? What am I doing today that brings real joy? And what just fills time? Where can I spend more energy living richly now, not someday? Because if you wait for wealth to start living, you'll miss the life you were supposed to be living on the way. Let's summarize Chapter 13. Wealth isn't just financial, it's emotional, spiritual, and intentional. Design your life based on values, not just income. Less but better leads to deeper satisfaction. Routines, habits, and simplicity can create richness right now, not someday. You don't need more money to live richly, you need more clarity. Chapter 14. When money becomes a tool, not a master. Let's get one thing straight. Money is a tool. That's all it's ever meant to be. But for many people, money becomes something else entirely. A symbol of self-worth, a source of anxiety, a never-ending finish line, or worse, a master that calls the shots. The shift from money as a trap to money as a tool is one of the most liberating transformations you can make in your relationship with wealth. This chapter is about how to reclaim control, restore clarity, and start using money instead of being used by it. The trap. When money owns you. How do you know if money is your master? You constantly worry about not having enough, even when your needs are met. You make decisions based on fear, not values. You delay joy, waiting for someday success. You stay in jobs, relationships, or routines just to preserve your paycheck. You say yes to opportunities that don't align, simply because they pay. These are signs you're not owning your money. It's owning you. And even the rich fall into this trap. A story of silent control. Ronald was a millionaire by 35. Smart, disciplined, goal-driven. But he couldn't relax, couldn't take a break, couldn't say no. He wasn't working because he wanted to. He was working because he had to. Emotionally, money wasn't his tool. It was his controller. He feared losing it. He feared being seen as lazy. He feared slipping even one rung down the ladder. He had wealth, but no peace. He wasn't free. He was bound by gold chains. The mindset shift, from possessed to purposeful. To shift money from master to tool, you have to flip your mindset. Don't say, "I need more to be safe." Say, "I use what I have to serve what matters." Don't say, "Money defines my success." Say, "Money supports my success." Don't say, "I work for money." Say, "Money works for me." It's subtle, but life-changing, because your financial habits are rooted in your financial beliefs, and when beliefs shift, behavior follows. Tools don't have emotions. Let's remember what a tool is. A hammer doesn't judge you. A wrench doesn't control your mood. A screwdriver doesn't make you question your worth. They simply do a job. That's it. Money should be the same. It's here to feed you, house you, fund your mission, protect your peace, create flexibility. That's it. Nothing more. When money starts controlling your feelings or dictating your identity, it has stopped being a tool and started being a tyrant. Practical steps to reclaim control. So how do you make the shift? Here are 5 practical steps. 1. Set apart self-worth from net worth. You are not your income. You are not your title. You are not your tax bracket. Journal the non-financial things you're proud of. Kindness, loyalty, resilience, creativity, love. Those are real wealth. 2. Set values-based financial goals. Don't just save for more. Save for what matters. Examples: a sabbatical to write your book, a down payment on a family home, a charitable fund to support your cause, a savings cushion so you can leave toxic work. Now, money has a mission and a reason. 3. Create space between wanting and buying. Before you make a purchase, pause and ask, is this solving a problem or creating one? Will I value this in 6 months? Is this aligned with my bigger goals? That pause creates power, and power breaks the chains. 4. Automate what you can. Automate savings, investments, debt payoffs. Why? Because it reduces emotional decision-making. It puts your money to work, without constant mental labor. You're the architect. Money is the employee. 5. Practice intentional generosity. Give, even if it's small. Why? Because giving breaks the grip of fear and scarcity. It says, I have enough, and I trust there will be more. Generosity reminds you, money flows, and so does abundance. The power of financial detachment. Detachment isn't carelessness, it's clarity. It's knowing. I care about my finances, but I don't depend on them for my identity. I respect money, but I'm not ruled by it. I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm not afraid to let it flow. This posture gives you power. It lets you move through life with peace, not panic. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, where has money been making decisions for me? What would change if I used money as a tool, not a trophy? What emotion or belief do I need to release to take back control? Remember, you don't need to be rich to be in charge. You just need to stop giving money your throne. Let's summarize Chapter 14. Money is a tool, not a master, but many people unconsciously serve it. The key shift is mindset, from chasing money to directing it. Practical steps like goal setting, detachment, and intentional giving restore control. Real freedom begins when money serves your purpose, not your identity. Chapter 15. The Freedom Formula. We all say we want freedom, but what does that actually mean? For some, it's never having to check a price tag. For others, it's waking up without an alarm clock. For many, it's the power to choose where you live, how you work, who you become. At its core, freedom means agency, the ability to live life on your terms. And while money alone doesn't create freedom, the way you use money can either build a prison or unlock a door. In this chapter, you'll learn the Freedom Formula, a simple, practical approach to aligning your money with your mission, your peace, and your purpose. What is freedom, really? Most people think freedom is about escape from debt, escape from a 9-to-5, escape from the stress of not enough. But true freedom isn't just the absence of restriction, it's the presence of alignment. Freedom means working because you want to, not because you have to. Saying yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. Spending money in ways that reflect your highest self, not your insecurities. Having time for joy, rest, relationships, and creation. In short, freedom is wealth you can feel. The Freedom Formula. 3 pillars. Here it is, simple and clear. Freedom equals awareness, plus alignment, plus action. Let's break it down. 1. Awareness. Know what freedom means to you. Before you can pursue freedom, you have to define it. Is it geographic freedom, living anywhere? Time freedom, owning your schedule? Emotional freedom, peace and stability? Financial freedom, savings, investments, no debt? Creative freedom, the ability to build, write, express? Everyone's definition is different, and that's okay. The key is clarity. Ask yourself, what does a free life look like for me, specifically? What's currently standing in the way? Am I chasing freedom or just running from pressure? Because the wrong kind of hustle can take you further from the freedom you really want. 2. Alignment. Design a life that reflects your values. Once you know what freedom means, align your life around it. That means setting financial goals that support your ideal lifestyle, saying no to income opportunities that drain your peace, creating budgets that reflect your values, not your vanity, organizing your time around your energy, not your calendar, spending money to free time, not fill your home with more stuff. Alignment means your decisions, dollars, and direction are all pointing the same way. That's when life starts to feel rich, even before your income rises. 3. Action. Build systems that serve your vision. Knowing and aligning are only half the equation. Freedom requires movement. That means putting systems in place that support your future self. Examples: automate savings and investments to build long-term wealth. Create multiple income streams to reduce dependence on one source. Use sinking funds for big goals so you're never caught off guard. Track spending without obsession, just awareness. Regularly review your finances and reset based on new goals. Systems reduce stress, They make freedom repeatable, and they give you margin, which is where magic lives. A quick framework. The 50-30-20 reimagined. You've probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings. Here's a freedom-focused spin. 50% alignment. Spend on things that reflect your values. 30% acceleration. Invest in your future. Growth, savings, education. 20% liberation. Use for generosity, experiences, and things that make you feel free. Now your money is working for your whole life, not just your bills. Releasing the urge to compare. Freedom isn't about beating someone else's score. It's about winning your own game. Comparison will rob you of joy and rush your process. So stop asking, how do I measure up? And start asking, how do I feel about the life I'm building? When you feel proud, peaceful, and purposeful, you're already rich. What freedom feels like. You'll know you're walking in freedom when you make decisions from confidence, not fear. You have space in your schedule and savings. You're energized by your work, not enslaved by it. You wake up grateful, not just grinding. You stop chasing and start choosing. That's not luck. That's design. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what does freedom feel like to me? What's one way I can buy back time this month? Which of the three pillars, awareness, alignment, or action, needs my attention most? You're not stuck. You're just one new decision away from a whole new direction. Let's summarize Chapter 15. Freedom isn't about escaping. It's about aligning your life with what matters. The freedom formula equals awareness plus alignment plus action. Clarity leads to confidence. Systems lead to peace. Values lead to wealth. When your time, money, and values agree, you feel free. Chapter 16. Philanthropy, Purpose, and Power. If money has the power to destroy, it also has the power to transform. When money is guided by meaning and purpose, it becomes more than just a resource. It becomes a force for good. This chapter explores one of the most overlooked secrets of fulfillment: giving. Not just as a charitable checkbox, but as a lifestyle. A mindset that turns your wealth into a ripple effect of impact, healing, and joy. Because giving doesn't subtract from your wealth, it multiplies it, emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes even financially. The purpose behind the paycheck. So many people chase money for security, status, and success. But when they finally arrive, they're often left with a gnawing question. Is this all there is? That question doesn't come from a lack of money. It comes from a lack of mission. You were not designed to just accumulate. You were designed to contribute. Giving of time, resources, love, wisdom, and wealth is how we tap into our true power. The joy of generosity. You know the feeling. You surprise someone with a gift. You donate to a cause close to your heart. You volunteer your time and see a life change. You give without expecting anything in return. And it fills you up. That's no accident. It's biology. Studies show that giving boosts happiness, reduces stress, increases life satisfaction, strengthens connection, even improves health. Because generosity activates something deeper than pleasure. It activates purpose. Giving doesn't require wealth. You don't need to be rich to give. You need to be aware. A single encouraging word can change a life. A small monthly donation can feed a child. Sharing a skill can launch someone's dream. Helping a neighbor can heal a heart. In fact, research shows that people with less tend to give more proportionally than those with more. Why? Because they understand what it means to need help, and they recognize the power of a small act. Aligning your giving with your purpose. Philanthropy is most powerful when it's personal. You don't have to give to every cause. You give to what moves you. Ask yourself, what breaks my heart? What inspires me? What do I wish more people had? When you align your giving with your story, your pain, and your passion, it becomes healing, not just helping. And when you give from that place, your generosity becomes a form of leadership. Wealth as a bridge, not a wall. Money can build walls, or it can build bridges. When used with purpose, wealth becomes a bridge to education, a bridge to opportunity, a bridge to healthcare, a bridge to equity, a bridge to possibility. Imagine using your success not just to rise, but to raise others. That's legacy. That's impact. That's the wealth that outlives you. The compound impact of giving. Like compound interest, giving grows over time. Your donation funds a scholarship. That student becomes a doctor. That doctor saves lives. One of those lives starts a nonprofit. That nonprofit feeds a village. You didn't just give money, you started a movement. And it all began with a single, intentional act. A real-life story, from struggle to service. Lena grew up in poverty. As a child, she received free school lunches from a local charity. She never forgot the kindness. As an adult, she built a small business. It didn't make her rich, but it gave her stability. So she started giving back, one lunch at a time. 10 years later, she runs a nonprofit that feeds thousands of students every month. Why? Because someone once gave when they didn't have to. That's the power of purpose-driven wealth. You're already powerful. You don't need to wait for one day to start making a difference. You already have. A voice, a skill, a story, a perspective, a platform, a heart. Use them. Even small ripples can change the tide. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, where can I give that reflects my purpose? What skills, stories, or resources do I have that others need? What would it feel like to make giving a regular, joyful habit? You don't need a foundation. You don't need a fortune. You just need a why and a willing heart. Let's summarize Chapter 16. Money with purpose becomes a powerful force for good. Giving boosts happiness, reduces stress, and deepens meaning. You don't need wealth to be generous. You need awareness. Philanthropy that aligns with your story creates legacy. True power is using your abundance to lift others. Chapter 17. Wealth without worry. What's the point of having money if it only brings more anxiety? Many people chase financial goals thinking it will bring peace, and yet, the closer they get, the more they worry. What if I lose it? What if it's not enough? What if someone takes advantage of me? What if I never feel safe? It turns out, wealth isn't just about numbers. It's about nervous systems. Because if you can't sleep at night, it doesn't matter how much is in the bank. This chapter is about building peace alongside prosperity, creating a life that's not just rich in resources, but calm in spirit. when money creates more stress, not less. Here's the paradox. You finally have a decent savings account, but now you fear losing it. You invest in the market, and now obsessively check it. You make more money, but feel even more pressure to maintain your image. You succeed, and suddenly everyone wants a piece of it. It's exhausting. Money was supposed to free you, not frighten you. That's why emotional wealth is just as important as financial wealth. The real root of money anxiety. Money worry usually doesn't come from the money itself. It comes from what we attach to it: safety, identity, control, worth, legacy. When those needs are unmet, we turn money into a substitute. But money can't fix what's broken internally. That healing comes from awareness, intentional living, and the courage to untangle your self-worth from your net worth. How to build wealth without carrying the weight. Here are 5 powerful strategies to create wealth without living in worry. 1. Create a peace budget. Not just a budget for bills or savings, a budget for peace. Include therapy or coaching, restful experiences, spa days, nature retreats, hobbies. Margin in your spending so you're not stretched thin. Donations or giving, because generosity fuels inner abundance. Peace is a line item worth funding. 2. Automate to alleviate. Worry comes from constant decision-making. Automate. Savings, investments, bill payments, debt payoffs. The fewer micro-decisions you have to make, the more your brain can relax. You don't have to think about what's being done, because your system handles it for you. 3. Define enough and stick to it. Nothing increases money stress like an undefined finish line. Ask yourself, what income covers my true needs and goals? What lifestyle do I really want, not just what others expect? At what point will I choose to slow down? Defining enough sets boundaries around ambition. It tells your nervous system, we're safe. We don't have to chase endlessly. 4. Practice mindful money rituals. Instead of fearing money, engage with it intentionally. Do a weekly money check-in. Light a candle, make tea, open your accounts with gratitude. Track your wins, not just spending, but how you handled situations with wisdom. Express thanks every time you pay a bill. I'm grateful I can afford this. These rituals turn money into a relationship, not a threat. 5. Release comparison and embrace your pace. Comparison breeds panic. Their house, their salary, their vacation, their new car. But you don't know what they gave up or what they're hiding. Your life is yours. Your pace is sacred. Your timeline is enough. Peace is found when you stop sprinting and start breathing. The shift from scarcity to security. To live with wealth and without worry, you must shift from a scarcity mindset to a security mindset. Scarcity says, there's never enough. I need to hold tightly. If I stop hustling, it'll all fall apart. Security says, I am supported. I can handle whatever comes my way. Money flows in and out, and that's okay. This is the mindset that unlocks emotional freedom, and with it, financial confidence. A story of letting go. Jared had a successful consulting business. On paper, he was doing great, but he couldn't stop stressing. Every email felt like a threat. Every dip in revenue felt like failure. He had money, but no rest. Then he made a decision. To work 4 days a week, to delete social media for a while, to take up gardening, to define what success meant to him. He earned slightly less. But for the first time, he felt free. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what does financial peace feel like in my body? What part of my money story still creates tension or fear? What boundaries or systems could I set to bring more calm into my finances? You don't have to sacrifice peace to gain prosperity. You just have to stop believing that money will save you, because peace is an inside job. Let's summarize Chapter 17. Wealth without peace is still poverty. Worry doesn't come from money itself. It comes from our attachment to what it represents. Peaceful finances are built through systems, clarity, rituals, and release. Defining enough and letting go of comparison are key to lasting contentment. You can build a rich life without carrying the emotional weight of the world. Chapter 18. The true definition of success. Let's ask the question no one wants to answer. What if the version of success you're chasing isn't actually yours? What if it's borrowed? What if it's cultural? What if it's someone else's dream, dressed up in your anxiety? We grow up with a success script. Get good grades, get a high-paying job, buy a house, climb the ladder, retire rich, be admired. But what if that ladder is leaning against the wrong wall? In this chapter, we redefine success, not as something you chase, but as something you live. The old definition is broken. The traditional formula for success is simple. Money plus status plus power equals success. But let's be honest, that version has left a trail of burnt-out professionals, isolated influencers, depressed millionaires, broken families, hidden addictions, people with full closets and empty hearts. That formula doesn't work, not for your soul, your relationships, or your legacy. A new definition of success. So what is success? Try this. Success is a life aligned with your deepest values. It's waking up proud of who you are, what you do, and how you live. Real success feels like peace when you lay down at night, purpose when you get up in the morning, integrity in the face of pressure, freedom to choose, grow, and give, love, given and received. That's success, and it's available, regardless of your bank balance. Ask the questions that actually matter. Instead of asking, how much do I earn? What do people think of me? How do I compare? Try asking, am I becoming someone I'm proud of? Am I present in my own life? Do the people who know me love me, not for what I have, but for who I am? That's the measure that matters. A real-world story. The quiet legend. Melanie was a small-town nurse. She never made more than $65,000 a year. She volunteered at the food bank. She helped neighbors after surgery. She wrote letters to her grandkids every month. She made soup for anyone going through a hard time. When she passed away, hundreds showed up at her funeral. People she had touched without fanfare, awards, or applause. She wasn't successful by the world's standards, but to everyone who knew her, she was a legend. Success feels like wholeness. If your success requires you to sacrifice your health, abandon your family, suppress your truth, pretend to be someone you're not, burn out just to keep up, it's not success. It's slavery with a salary. Real success never asks you to betray yourself. It asks you to become more of who you truly are. Redefining success on your terms. Here's how to redefine success. List your 5 deepest values: love, creativity, peace, growth, integrity, freedom, service, etc. Write what success looks like for each one. For peace, I wake up without anxiety. I create margin in my life. For service, I help others through my work. I volunteer monthly. For freedom, I own my time. I say no to what doesn't serve me. Measure your life by those values, not vanity metrics. Because a life aligned with your values is a life you never want to escape from. What do you want to be remembered for? No one will remember how many followers you had, or how many square feet your house was, or whether you wore designer brands. They'll remember how you treated people when no one was watching, how safe you made them feel, how you made them laugh, think, grow, how you lived with courage, kindness, and depth. That's legacy. That's success. Reflect and reframe. Ask yourself, what is my definition of success? Not my parents', not society's. Mine. What areas of my life are successful by that definition? Where am I sacrificing my values to chase the illusion? Write it down. Say it aloud. Own it. Because once you define success on your terms, you stop chasing and start living. Let's summarize Chapter 18. Traditional success often leads to burnout and emptiness. True success is alignment with your deepest values. Legacy is built through character, not cash. You define success, and that definition should lead to peace, presence, and purpose. When your inner life is rich, your outer life becomes a reflection, not a performance. Chapter 19. Final Reflections from a Money-Conscious Mind. By now, we've traveled a long road together, through the illusions of wealth, the traps of status, the truths about giving, and the emotional weight money can carry. But what's the real takeaway? It's not to fear money, and it's definitely not to chase it blindly. It's to understand this. Money is powerful, but it's not your purpose. It's a tool, not a trophy. A resource, not a reason to live. When you become conscious of how money works, not just in the world, but in you unlock a whole new level of freedom. What it means to be money conscious. To be money conscious doesn't mean obsessed with every dollar. It means being aware, awake, and aligned. A money-conscious mind is intentional with what it earns, spends, and saves. Wise in how it uses money to serve a bigger purpose. Detached from needing more to feel worthy. Grounded in values over vanity. Grateful for what is, even while building what's next. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. The 5 big money shifts. Let's revisit and anchor the biggest mindset shifts we've made. 1. From possession to purpose. Money isn't about how much you own. It's about how aligned your life is with what matters most. 2. From scarcity to strategy. Fear says there's never enough. Strategy says, let's use what we have with wisdom. 3. From comparison to clarity. You're not here to live someone else's success story. You're here to author your own. 4. From status to service. The best use of wealth isn't to impress, it's to impact. 5. From hustle to harmony. More isn't always better. Sometimes enough is the greatest luxury of all. You're not behind. You're becoming. Maybe you wish you'd learned this earlier. Maybe you're carrying financial wounds, regrets, or shame. Let this be your reminder. You're not behind. You're becoming. Becoming more intentional, more peaceful, more wise, more aligned. It doesn't matter how much you've earned. It matters how much you've learned and how you'll live from this point forward. What do you really want? Strip away the pressure, the noise, the ego, the expectations. What's left? Maybe you want simplicity, connection, creative expression, freedom to live slower, time with the people you love, peace in your body and mind. You don't need to win the lottery for any of those. You just need to wake up to what's already here. What happens when you master money, emotionally? When you become money conscious, you spend with clarity, give with joy, save without obsession, invest without fear, earn with purpose, live with peace. You stop chasing and start choosing. You stop reacting and start designing. You stop performing and start being. That's what it means to be wealthy, in the truest sense. Reflect and reframe. Before we enter the conclusion, take a moment to reflect. What has this audiobook changed for you? What's one belief about money you've released? What's one truth you're ready to embody? What's one action you'll take to align your life more deeply? Write it, speak it, live it, because the most powerful shift is not in what you know, it's in what you do next. Let's summarize Chapter 19. Being money conscious means aligning your finances with purpose, peace, and power. Wealth is less about how much you have, and more about how deeply you live. The greatest financial freedom is emotional clarity. You're not defined by your past. You're empowered by your awareness. Conclusion. The greatest treasure is awareness. Let's come full circle. This journey hasn't been about numbers. It's been about noticing what money does to you and what you choose to do with it. It's been about remembering that money isn't everything. But your awareness of money, that changes everything. Because when you're aware, you spend with intention. You stop tying your identity to your income. You stop chasing and start choosing. You give with joy. You build a life you don't need to escape from. Awareness is the real currency, the one that enriches every area of your life. You can't escape a trap you don't see. Many people live in a financial prison they don't even know they're in. They work jobs they hate, for lifestyles they don't love, to impress people they don't even respect. They never stop to ask, why do I spend the way I do? Why do I think success looks like this? Who taught me that money equals worth? But once you see the trap, you can escape it. Once you awaken, you can redesign everything. You are the architect. Your life is not a default, it's a design. And you, not your bank account, are the architect. With awareness, you can live richly before you're rich, build purpose before profit, prioritize peace over pressure, choose values over vanity, trade comparison for contentment. And you can use money, not to prove something, but to serve something greater. A wealth that can't be taken. Here's what no one can take from you: the peace you've built, the wisdom you've earned, the impact you've made, the character you've developed, the joy you've felt, the lives you've touched. These are the treasures that last. Not the cars, not the clothes, not the credentials, but the clarity of who you are, what matters, and why you're here. What happens next? You're not finished, you're just beginning. Now you get to rewire old beliefs, set new goals, align your money with your values, teach others what you've learned, live differently, not tomorrow, but today, because money isn't the master of your story. You are. Final reflection. One last time, ask yourself, what does a truly rich life look like for me? Where can I simplify, slow down, or realign? What does success feel like, not look like? And how can I use money as a tool to build that? Write your answers, speak them often, live them always. Because you're not just building wealth, you're building a life, and that is the greatest investment of all. Thank you for listening. You've just completed Money Isn't Everything, but Everything Takes Money. This audiobook wasn't written to tell you what to do with your money. It was written to help you see it clearly, and then decide intentionally. If it shifted something inside you, share it with someone you love. Start a conversation. Ask the deeper questions. Rewrite your family legacy. Because this isn't the end. It's the start of something far richer. Here's to wealth, not just in your wallet, but in your heart, your choices, and your life.